My dear parishioners, as you know, it's the last Sunday of the church's year, and of course, every year we celebrate the feast of Christ the King when the liturgical year is ending. Next Sunday will begin the season of Advent, the preparation for our Lord's birth. But today, let's think of Christ the King. We know that when Jesus came on earth, you can look at scriptures and see the miracle after miracle after miracle that he performed. So many, and beautiful to read, and each one different. And what he did for the apostles, when he would tell them this and tell them that. He was the king while he lived, the king of the universe as he dwelled those 33 years. And then he was the king when he suffered and died on the cross, the agony in the garden, the scourging, the crowning, and all the other sufferings. He was the king when he rose from the dead. He was the king when he ascended to his Father. He was the king when he was transfigured before Moses and Elijah. They're talking with him. So he is our king truly, the king of the universe. Remember last week I mentioned to you how the center of the universe is the Eucharist. So above all, the king of the whole world, the whole universe, all of heaven and earth, he is here with us, especially at the consecration when the priest says those sacred words. But we have to be practical on a beautiful feast like this. What can we do to get closer to the King of the universe, to our Lord Jesus Christ? What can we do? Well, one of the things, my parishioners, is prayer. And each of us has to ask in our heart, how often do I pray? And we have to be honest with ourselves, because if we're not honest, we don't grow in prayer. It's so important because prayer is simply communicating with God. And there is no other occupation on this earth more important than talking to God. Always remember that. The most important occupation. And it's not that difficult. I remember when I was young and the nuns, there were so many nuns. I was born in a very Catholic city of Holyoke, Massachusetts, and every convent was packed with sisters and every rectory with priests. We know today it's not that way, unfortunately, and we have to pray for vocations. But they taught us, the sisters, the little aspirations. They call it aspirational prayer, and it would be a beautiful thing to adopt in your life. For instance, you're driving your car. Sometimes it might be a little difficult to do this on Route 22, but on some of the other country roads where it's so nice, and you see a tree beautiful, still red at this time of the year, and you just say, oh Lord, you're so beautiful. Talk to him. Talk to him while you're driving. What's to keep us from saying, Lord, I love you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for my children. Thank you for my job. Thank you for my house. And these are little prayers. And if we dotted the day with them, what do? We keep ourselves closer and closer to God, because each one of those little prayers coming from the heart, as I told you before, is worth more than the whole world, because that's an act of love just to say, oh Lord, I love you in your car. The universe can't say that. The trillions of stars can't say that, but you can. So, remember, you want to get closer to Christ the King. Use that little technique of prayer, aspirational prayer, they call it. But also another important thing, and I know, it's difficult for the working people, but to try to find time. I always tell people, find a little section of your house and have a beautiful crucifix or a beautiful image of the Sacred Heart or Mary. something that will raise your heart to God. Don't put up anything ugly or that you think doesn't look right. No, get something beautiful that represents our Lord. Because when you're, and find a little corner of your house where you can sit down and just look at the Lord and talk to him from your heart. And even if you begin with 5 minutes a day and then go to 10 minutes a day and then 15 minutes a day, I can't begin to tell you the effect it will have on your life. The effect it will have on your life to help you with your crosses, to help you with your difficulties, your disappointments, and also your joy. Because you come away with that time, you say, you feel good. You might still be suffering, but you feel good. You know, the little flower used to say, joy in suffering. You come away saying, I communicated with the Creator. I communicated with God. So prayer is a beautiful way of getting closer to Christ the King. And one other way, too, my good people, are the sacraments. Now, I'm impressed. I had this Mass last week and also the 11:30. I was so impressed with the number of people receiving communion, almost everybody, and that's beautiful, you know. And often when people can't, you should talk to a priest, because so often people stop receiving and they have no reason, no good reason to stop, you know, but they think they do. But sometimes in talking to a priest, they find out that they can receive, you know. And there's nothing that will bring you, well, you're receiving Christ the King in Holy Communion. All that he is, remember what I said last week, body, blood, soul, and divinity. It's a miracle of miracles. And then the other sacraments, we can't leave them out, you know, to go to confession. It seems like in the last 20 years, well, since Vatican II, which was in the mid-60s, I guess, you know, confessions went down and down and down. Don't be afraid. It's such a soothing thing. I have seen people burdened with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of sin walk in confession and then almost go out in such joy and happiness, knowing that the good Lord has forgiven them. And also, you know, when people get older, we start thinking of maybe the things that we did wrong when we were in our teens or 20s, and sometimes it bothers them, and it goes all through their life where it keeps coming to them and coming to them, you know. And, you know, as you approach death, those things are going to be there. And what I tell people, don't be afraid to mention. It's what you call a partial general confession or an entire general confession. And it's like saying to the devil when you come to meet your Creator, get away from me and stop bothering me. I'm ready to meet my God. I look forward to meeting him and to see all the beauty that there is on the other side, heaven, face-to-face vision of God. We may have to go to purgatory. I know almost all of us go there to be totally purified before we see God, before we see the King of Kings face to face, huh? But they say the souls in purgatory are very, very happy. Why? Because they know they made it. They know they're going to see God. And also many of the saints said they don't want to see God until they're totally purified, because he's so awesome. He's so awesome. They want to be totally clean of everything when they see him face to face. That's heaven, looking at God face to face, and in him understanding and seeing all things. We'll understand the Trinity, we'll understand the Incarnation, all the things that we believe by faith now. Remember, faith is believing in things we can't understand. No one on earth has ever understood the Trinity. No one on earth has ever understood exactly the Incarnation. But when we see God face to face, we're going to understand everything. We're going to understand why certain things happened in our lives and why things that we prayed for probably didn't happen. But we'll see that why God allowed that. And he had a greater plan, a more beautiful plan for us. Sometimes as we age, we can look back at our early lives and already begin to see his hand going through everything, you know. For those that, as St. Paul says, for those that love God, all things work for your salvation. Not some things, not just a few things, all things of suffering, no matter what kind of suffering, and all things of joy, and all kinds of joy. Everything is in the hand of God, and we will understand that when we see the King face to face in glory. Well, you know what? We're going to see him face to face in Holy Communion today. So let us rejoice and be happy this whole day, because it ends a beautiful year dedicated to our Lord, and we begin a new one next Sunday. God bless you.